So we're definitely seeing more and more institutional coming in, and I think it just, there's no way back from there. The more the market grows, the more it becomes mainstream. Of course, the more TradFi investors taps in and just try to get exposure to this asset class.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Finecchia International Senior Associate Matteo Greco. Matteo, good to speak with you again. You're out with your monthly ETP report, and July saw digital asset ETP assets under management pass $200 billion for the first time. What's driving this record-breaking growth?
Hi, Stephen. First of all, as always, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. Jumping straight into your question. So, as most of the times, it's a multiple factor thing. So of course, on one end, we're having a strong performance in the market. We've seen Bitcoin printing its all-time high yesterday, Ethereum trading narrow to all-time high, BNB as well trading incredibly high. So most of the main digital assets are trading at all-time high or close to it. So obviously, this already increases the AUM for the underlying assets. Plus, this positive market momentum, of course, increases demand. So there's also an increase in the actual amount of underlying that these products are holding, because people are just buying and buying. So these two factors combined, of course, brings the total AUM increasing incredibly strong and stronger of the underlying itself. And this is what kind of gave us the first time with a more than 200 billion month close with structured products holding cryptos.
Looking within all of that, Matteo, Ethereum ETP surged over 87% in assets under management in July. What factors are behind this dramatic rebound, and is it sustainable?
I think Ethereum is the best example of what I briefly mentioned in about the first question. So looking at the Ethereum price, there's been a 48% growth in July, and this momentum is continuing in August. Like in the first couple of weeks of August, there's been again more than 25% price increase, which means over the last 6 weeks, the price of Ethereum doubled, and it increased more than 2.5 times if we look at April end, so a few months from here. And of course, this super positive momentum for the asset drove an incredibly strong demand for ETPs holding Ethereum. And also there's been, in the past couple of months, in my opinion, quite of a strong play with the digital assets treasury companies. Of course, Bitcoin has been there for this sort of play for already a few years. So as much as new companies are trying to play this game, let's say, people are also looking at other assets. And of course, Ethereum is one of the main interests, as is the second most capitalized asset. In terms of sustainability, of course, it's not realistic to think that the pace of growth can increase and can keep going for longer in that sense. But obviously, in the long run, Ethereum is definitely been the second digital asset in terms of capitalization for years. So as long as the market overall increases, then Ethereum has strong likelihood to keep a good momentum.
Altcoin-linked ETPs outperformed basket products last month, Matteo. Is this a sign of shifting investor risk appetite?
This is a typical phase that we see every cycle. So there is always moments of alt seasons, which is what we're witnessing at the moment. So if we look at the Bitcoin dominance, it went down to about 8% in the past 4 weeks, and about 10% from the beginning of July, which is something that typically happens when there's a strong altcoin season. And so we're now seeing Bitcoin price being really flat, like not really fluctuating a lot. There's been, of course, some ups and downs, and as I said yesterday, Bitcoin printed its new all-time high, but it's been in that range above 100K for quite a long time now, and this just favored with some FOMO playing in the background, some narratives like the digital asset treasuries. It just played in favor of the narrative of altcoins growing in prices.
Institutional inflows into ETPs continue to outpace underlying asset price gains. What does that tell you about market maturity?
The market is definitely maturing pretty fast. We've always had these narratives every cycle where people were like, "Oh, this is the cycle of institutional. This is the cycle of institutional." But this time, it actually is the cycle of institutional. Like if we look at the structured products, for example, we can see that from the start of 2023. So, more or less when the bull market started, because 2022 was a really negative year, and from 2023 onwards, we got more or less a positive trend continuously. From 2023 start, the AUM for ETPs holding crypto increased by 10 times. And if we narrow the window and look at 2024 start, when basically the Bitcoin spot ETFs got approved, we still have a 4-time increase in AUM and a 50% increase in the amount of products that are listed worldwide. So we're definitely seeing more and more institutional coming in, and I think it just there's no way back from there. The more the market grows, the more it becomes mainstream. Of course, the more TradFi investors taps in and just try to get exposure to this asset class.
With improving regulatory clarity worldwide, Matteo, which new digital asset ETP products or markets are you watching most closely?
I mean, we have to differentiate between different jurisdictions, because the way the ETPs market moved has been different, right? Because in Europe, for example, ETPs have been available for quite a long time now. We've seen, a few years ago, the wave of spot products, and in the past couple of years, the wave of staking products. While in the same time frame, the past couple of years, of course, in the US, we're seeing, Bitcoin and Ethereum spot products, and now a lot of application for other assets. So the way I envision this to be is, for sure in the US, we'll see more ETF holding spot crypto aside from Bitcoin and Ethereum. We might start to see some staking rewards as well. While in Europe, we've got at that stage already a few years ago. So the matter now in Europe, I think it's diversifying your yield source, trying to find a way to optimize yield. And for example, that's what we're doing at Finekia, like with our 2 products that taps into DeFi and generate yield in a different way from our competitors. And of course, for future products, I also think we should look at try to optimize the staking yield compared to what other competitors do. So in my opinion, the next wave is yield optimization, and that's what we're looking at.
Matteo, thanks as always for your insights. Great speaking with you.
It was great. Thank you for having me, Stephen.
Very welcome, Matteo Greco. He's Senior Associate at Finekia International.